Good morning, everyone. As we come into the room, we bring with us our joys and our sorrows. We bring with us something of the beating of our hearts, the ramblings of our minds maybe, but this is the time in which we come into this space and recognize that we weave a fabric of community. We share the burden of our sorrows. We share the joys with one another. I see 2 candles already glowing, and I will read the cards that were written by those who came up and did them all for us. Susan Slocum lights a candle for her son who is starting chemotherapy. Jane Hilliard lights a candle for River Freeman and Elizabeth Thompson being here today. Yay. Are there folks who forgot to fill out cards who want to say something? Yeah, go ahead, Tara.
One of my best friends of 30-some years, Vidette Dixon, is in Iowa and will be having open heart surgery on Monday. She's 50. She's outlived both of her parents, who both died of heart disease in their late 40s. And she has other underlying health conditions, and I'd just like to light a candle for her.
So a candle for Vidette Dixon from Tara, a friend of Tara's who lives in Iowa, is 50 years old and having heart surgery. That glow will be glowing here. Yes. Beth, go ahead.
I'd like to have a candle with a concern. My husband is having a total hip replacement on Tuesday, and he's always been healthy as a horse, so he's never had anything done. So we're a bit nervous.
Yeah, okay. So Beth is saying her husband is having hip replacement this week, and that candle glows for that. Elizabeth.
Hi there. I have lots of gratitude to express. I'm going to be as brief as possible. First of all, I'd like to thank the Renners for fostering our dog Daisy while River and I were in Georgia for 3 months. And Daisy is a handful, and she just fit right in with her family. Oh, not the yard. I'd also like to express gratitude to my hiking, laughing buddy, Susan Slocum, who I consider to be my emotional support human. And the last thing is I'd like to express great gratitude to Jane Hilliard for visiting River frequently when we are in town. And I also would like to express gratitude for all of you for thinking of us and keeping us in your thoughts while we go this road of brain cancer. Thank you.
Elizabeth gives several candles there. One to thank the Renners for fostering their dog Daisy, a candle for Susan Slocum for all her support, and Jane Hilliard as well, and this whole congregation as River has gone through trials and tribulations with her brain cancer. Jackson, yes.
My grandpa is having hip replacement surgery. That's why my mom's not here.
So Jackson notes that his grandpa's having hip replacement therapy, and that's why his mom isn't here. Yes, Dan.
Yes, 2 candles if you have room. For Gus Napier, a new friend of mine who joined the newly formed men's group, which meets here on Thursday mornings from 9 to 10. Very vibrant, good bond. Gus had a fall about a week ago outside, maybe some straw, hit a root, tripped, fell on one of his hips. I think he has a contusion, but he doesn't think it provides any long-term problems. So our candle to Gus.
So, thank you. Dan will say the candles are lit, one for Gus Napier, who had a fall, and the other for son Tim in Louisville, who's probably listening to this, who's dealing with chronic pancreatitis. So, thank you.
A candle for dear friends Gwen and Ed Flynn, whose little dog, the little dog died unexpectedly this week.
Their names are again?
Gwen and Ed Flynn.
So a candle for Gwen and Ed Flynn because their dog has died. I think I saw other hands. Alice.
I'd like a candle lit for my son and daughter-in-law who are traveling in Israel, so I'm very worried about them. Also, next week, I am going to Atlanta to take my turn taking care of their 17-month-old toddler, who is a busy boy, for 5 days. So I think I need a candle.
So 2 candles from Alice, one for son and daughter-in-law and who are in Israel traveling, and prayers to them and their safety. And also one for Alice, who's taking care of the toddler for 5 days. Susan. Susan lights a candle for Janet Benway for continued healing in the hospital.
I would, Virginia Watkins, I'd like to light a candle for modern medicine and the gratitude of it. I had a scare last week after colonoscopy, and upon further investigation have found out that it's actually a very easy surgery, and I am able to breathe so much more easily knowing that it is not nearly the intensity that I first assumed last week. So thank you for modern medicine.
So thank you for modern medicine from Virginia Watkins after her colonoscopy and what she faces with the procedure. We are grateful for all that has been shared, and we know that not everything has been shared, and some of you at home, we will think of you. Is there one more candle to light? We'll pretend. We'll double a candle. Full tray of candles. This is our community and the glow of these lights. Let's remember this as we go off into our coffee social time together or other chances we have to mix and mingle and learn more and support one another. Thank you all. In that we have introduced the deepest joys and sorrows to one another, let us now turn to those around us. No touching necessary. Just some way of gratefully acknowledging the worth and value of the people around you. Would you please greet your neighbor? Did we do announcements yet?
Oh, we didn't do announcements yet. Please.
One of the joys of being a Unitarian Universalist minister is recognizing the level of activity and the vitality and everything that's going on. We heard a little bit about new friendships made in men's group. We've had a whole bunch of folks who spent lots of dough to bring in money for pies, which will then help with our native plant property we're going to showcase here. The joy of this place, I welcome you into. If you're here for the first time ever, this is a wonderful community, and we're very imperfect about it. But I like the fact that we are just people working towards the best of what we can bring to it. So if you're a visitor here, we welcome you into this community of connection as well. We welcome those of you who have been kind of shy about showing up to big events. We welcome those of you who've been here time and again, all the time. We welcome everyone, no matter how young, how old, who you love. We welcome you. Thank you for being here. We have a few announcements. Is there anything rotating on the screen that I should make sure to highlight here? Yeah. When we get to the collection, we want to remind you that you all voted on selections that the social action team had proposed of places in our community that could use our extra support. And SAFE was one of those. We do that so that every month there is a different way we can give. And anything that goes in the special envelopes goes to the special collection for the month, which is SAFE, which is assisting those who are facing domestic violence and trying to reduce and eliminate domestic violence here in Transylvania County. Anything that goes in the basket by itself comes to me. You'll see them bring it up, and I'll say thank you. No, but no, it goes into a box I don't have a key to. The ushers count it and put it in a box, and I can't reach it again. So, the other announcements we have, we usually show an announcement on Tuesdays. We're welcome to bring a packed lunch or pick up some food and join us at lunchtime on Tuesdays. We love to have the chances to interact just socially, informally, right here. We will now move on with our worship service. We've got a testimonial, yes, but then we have a service that has a whole lot packed into it. And so we want to step it up, and I invite forward Rick and Philip for our testimonial.
Good morning, all. So glad to see you, and we're overjoyed that each of you stand with us in our new journey with our new church. We're growing to love each and every one of you, and we appreciate if you will give to our church for things that have to be done, and for us to survive as a church. So I'm going to turn it over to Philip. He's better qualified to talk than I am.
We are grateful that we're part of a church that is justice-filled. From every corner that I can see, we are grateful for that. We are grateful for a church that is human rights oriented, so that we can stand before you and know that we are loved and accepted in this very place. We are grateful for a church that is conscious of the natural world in which we live. So important to us for that. But you know, we are grateful more so that we're able to give to this church. in our own way, we're able to share what we have to a church that is willing to share with us from you. Rick and I had the wonderful opportunity a week ago, Friday night. We went to Hiawassee, Georgia. Have you ever gone to Hiawassee, Georgia? We went to hear Tanya Tucker sing at the Music Center over there. And if you don't remember Tanya Tucker, you've got to remember Delta Dawn from way, 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 way back. She has a song that I think is one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. It's called Two Sparrows in a Hurricane. And ever since I heard the song, I thought of you. Because that's what we're like. This church is like a sparrow in a hurricane, where we're not going to turn our backs on those in need. We're not going to look the other way. And somehow through that hurricane, we'll survive. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip and Rick, for beautiful, beautiful statement. And I'm returning to that theme of welcome in the opening words, which are by Rachel Rott. Welcome, you questioners, you seekers of truth with a capital T. Pilgrims longing for sanctuary, travelers needing harbor from the storm. Welcome those who are holding on by a thread, determined breakers of the chains of loneliness and isolation. You push through your fear because something told you you deserved to belong. Welcome home. Welcome those who braid ropes again and again. You've been there for our siblings who were just hanging on. You gave them a hand into community and told them they could rest here. Welcome, you who seek spiritual and religious community for your children and grandchildren. You entrust your young people here, and we, as a community, commit to nurture and respect them. Welcome, children and youth. You give us the gift of your wisdom, your joy, your creativity, and you trust that we will hold it all safe. Welcome. Welcome home. How do we make this tender place wider? How do we stretch into a bolder welcome, a radical generosity of the heart? Can we imagine ourselves the stewards and ushers, not just into this place, but into our circle of belonging? Can we commit and recommit to being accountable to one another as an anti-racist, anti-oppressive community that centers marginalized voices, that listens to those voices, especially when they are hard to hear? Can we be willing to change? When we break our agreements with one another, can we make amends? Can we be humble and generous? There is grace enough here. There is, in this place, the possibility of healing, of repair, of making things right within ourselves, between us, and with the wider community, the wider world. There is in this place possibility. Welcome home. Now let's rise in body or in spirit and sing our opening hymn, which is one of our most beloved, number 1064, Blue Boat Home. Our chalice lighting words are by Scott Taylor, who's the lead editor of our Soul Matters theme curriculum. Let's read these together. We light this chalice for those who convinced us that it was safe to share our longings, for those who proved that not everyone will run from the weight of the pain we carry, for those who held us in our fear and helped us heal from our regret, for those whose humble apologies made us believe that we too could be forgiven, and for those whose tenderness helped us see that we no longer need to hide. Our vulnerability frees us. It binds us. It makes holy the path we travel together. May this flame ever help us keep that in view.
Thanks, Vanessa. We've come to the point of the service in which we'll recognize our new members. And We've made sure that our families are in here together to witness this, as we have some from our families who are being recognized as new members. These new members, it's a big group because these new members have joined us since our last recognition ceremony, which was before COVID-19 shut us down. I consider them to be a brave bunch, and I thank you for your continued interest in this Unitarian Universalist congregation, even as we've gone through several new normals. And it warms my heart that you would be part of this place. Would the following people please come forward? And if I've missed someone who is here today after all, but I don't have you on the list, please come up, even if I haven't read your name and you know you need to be recognized. You need to be recognized. Don and Marcia Odell, although I understand Marcia's not able to be with us this morning. Richard Packer, Carol Roberson and Richard Mills, Mike and Barbara Yates, Rick Laws and Philip Thomason, come on back up, Donna Rayburn and Mike Griffith, Kathleen Hale Brewer, Carrie Branham, I don't know if Carrie's here, don't see Carrie, Madison Griffith, and Kelly Alwyn. And I'm going to stand up with you all too. We know that Becky Hines is unable to attend, and I think there were one or two others. Sometimes walking into a UU congregation brings on a sense of, wow, here are my people. We may believe everyone here thinks like us and has all the right perspectives, opinions, and wisdom. And if you haven't figured it out, though, we're a diverse group. I would like you all to become disillusioned pretty quick with the people in this place. We are not going to live up to such initial platitudes. Sometimes we get things wrong. The real strength of this congregation is when members retain their vision of how we could be great and take us where we are and nurture, educate, and lead us towards our best. You have a perspective, each one of you, that is unique. And as the philosophy ascribed to Francis David of the 1500s in Transylvania and Eastern Europe said about Unitarian Universalism, we need not think alike to love alike. We have a token for you, a chalice pin, and we have our helpers from the membership team who are coming up now to do this part. The two circles represent the overlapping Unitarian and Universalist heritages. And you see a 3D version of that framing our own oil lamp and flame. And may you wear it proudly.
We decided not to pin this one.
Would the new members still face the congregation? And the congregation has some welcome words for you. It's a responsive reading, and it should be up on the screen. Yay, all right. I will read the blue, and then the congregation will read the white. We bid you welcome, you who come with weary spirit seeking rest. We bid you welcome, who come with hope in your heart. We bid you welcome, who are seekers of a new faith. We bid you welcome who enter this hall as a homecoming. Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey. And would the new members still stay in place for a blessing from Reverend Bob?
This is a blessing I've used in child dedications and in new member ceremonies. It fits for both. May your thoughts be wise. May your lips speak truth. May your heart know love. And may the work of your hands be blessed all the days of your life. Welcome. You may now be seated. We could sing the children out. Yeah. With the children having been here so long, we think maybe it would be good to sing them out. So, yeah. It looks like we have. Are you coming forward to do this? Come on up. Here you go, Emery. I thank Kevin for his flexibility. Sometimes it is when you're working with families and kids, you do need to kind of say, yeah, we knew what we set out to do, but you know what? We're not going to fit it in. They'll get a story when they get back into their room. I've already explained our offering, but maybe I need to lift up again the reason why we have an offering. We have folks who pledge. We have folks who come up and ask you to give generously. We have ways in which we give electronically or transferring assets or whatever ways. And this time in the service has one particular reason, and that is time and again to remind us of that piece of generosity that's a part of being a part of a community. We don't just come to sit here. We come to give to a place that means something to us, to have its doors open. We will now receive the morning offering. you, Gypsy. What is given with love, we receive with great joy, and we say, thank you. I invite you to center yourself, breathe deep, eyes open or closed, whatever it is that helps you move into a time of meditation or prayer. Spirit of love and life, we who are gathered here come from many different paths to get to this one place. May we remember that we are stronger together, even in the midst of our recognition of our own vulnerability. We are not alone. And it is the love that is shared one to another through our joys and sorrows which helps us to have made the steps possible to be here, to be authentic, and to be of use in this world. On this Sunday, we rejoice with those who have come to join us, join this group to add their perspectives and voices, for we need everyone if we are to survive. We also know that on this day we lift up very specifically the joys and sorrows. For those who are with us in this room, whatever struggles they have faced in order to get up and out and here, in particular, to have the presence of River and Elizabeth here today. We also recognize that there are those that we love and know who are going through medical procedures. For Susan Slocum's son, who is starting chemo. For Virginia, whose joy of modern medicine means the procedure coming up after her colonoscopy is so much easier to face than feared. To Janet, for continued healing in the hospital. We know that those of us gathered here are grieving, worried for our friends, Vedette, who's facing heart surgery, Beth's husband facing hip surgery, Jackson for his grandpa's hip surgery, Gus recuperating from his fall, the sadness of our four-leggeds who are no longer with us, and the hopes and the joys of being with a toddler, and the thoughts of those who may be traveling afar for their safety and their return home. Spirit of love and life, this is but a short list of the long list of things that are in our prayers and in our meditations, which we will hold now in the silence. In the names of all those known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind, we say, Amen, blessed be. As our reading, I have a poem that I think was in part of the Soul Matters packet resource for this month's study, To Risk by William Arthur Ward. I think it fits with the Leap of Faith sermon. To laugh is to risk appearing a fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out to another is to risk involvement. To expose feelings is to risk exposing your true self. To place your ideas and dreams before a crowd is to risk their loss. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To live is to risk dying. To hope is to risk despair. To try is to risk failure. But risks must be taken because the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing does nothing, has nothing, is nothing. They may avoid suffering and sorrow, but they cannot learn, feel, change, grow, or live.
We always welcome Reverend Bob joining us in the choir. He has to wear a bunch of different hats every Sunday morning, but he adds a lot to our bass section. We're going to sing now an anthem by John Rutter. It's called For the Beauty of the Earth. You may have known this hymn, the words, in a different setting, but this is a setting by John Rutter which we've come to know and to love. I hope you enjoy hearing it.
Music is such a part of this congregation. And sometimes your favorite hymns we can do, and sometimes we can't. Depends on licensing rights. But we did get to do Blue Boat Home again. That's a good one. And you notice in there the phrase, which I think is important as we go into our sermon about the openness and a leap of faith, that there's something like, no port have I known. You know, I was born in the fathoms, and no port have I known. The imagery of that part. We have so many folks these days in our society who have come from the classification and censuses and such of being nuns. And that's not N-U-N-S, that's N-O-N-E-S. None of the above. When you try to check off what religion were you brought up in, and really since the 60s and 70s in particular, children have been raised none of the above. No port have I known. And then to come and find a place that might be that place of shelter, that place to take a leap of faith to come to some folks who seem to be able to hold in their hearts the diversity of all that you are and all that the people near you are, with a sense that our vulnerability is our strength. What do I mean by that? I mean that we don't use Sunday mornings, I hope, to enter the room with our masks on. That we enter our Sunday mornings with our authentic selves, with our fears and our vulnerability showing. That we come here knowing we can share the truth of our lives, as much of it as we dare. And we will see back from another person, as one of our readings said, the permission then to continue on and keep going. And that the people around us then say, aha, I could be honest too. We just welcome new members. Now, one of the things we mention as new members are interviewing is responsibilities of membership, pledging, giving to this congregation. You're now open to calls from the nominating committee. You know, we've got somebody who is just recognized standing up front here who has said yes to the nominating committee. Yeah. Hint to those who are sitting here who haven't. But it might be hard to take leadership, but it might be, I don't know, I've never done that before. Yeah. It's a leap of faith, one, to leave behind where you were, whether that was being out on the vast open sea on our great blue marble of ours, or that you've moved. So you're on your way from, what was the UU joke? You're on your way from Methodism to golf. And Unitarian Universalism is kind of in between. Nah, I don't like that joke. Because I think we are a destination. I think we are a harbor. I think we are a place. When we have the bravery to show up someplace as ourselves and then take responsibility for being part of that community, not just saying, oh, I'm a visitor. I use up a parking space, thanks. What was it? Vanessa, our worship associate this morning, found a really great quote from Liz James's Remembering She says that within our community, we will break each other's hearts, we will find each other wanting. And then she says, this religion is not a thing you join, it's a thing that you're called to co-create. And we do it, I think, by breaking each other's hearts, by being disillusioned with one another. I cannot imagine going through life without finding ways in which the people around me are not exactly like me. The people around me don't live up to my expectations. Why? Because I have to be able to be vulnerable. I have to be able to be real. The people around me I have to accept as real too. There was a Soul Matters packet that I had written years ago when I was part of that process of writing Soul Matters packets. And it had a prelude statement in it, like all our Soul Matters packets do. I related a story of how I heard a lecture between Dr. Cornel West from Harvard and Dr. Robert George from Princeton. Now, some of you already know those are fighting words with those two people. Those two institutions are on the same stage with each other. But the thing is, these two people have their differences. Their skin colors are different. The way they were brought up was different. Their experience of life is different. But they're brave enough to stay in relationship while airing their ideas. Dr. George said in society today it's hard to break ranks from the tribe. And we need role models. And that, to me, speaks of bravery. We need to see how each other is brave. As I said, new members of our congregation exhibited bravery coming here during each new normal. Imagine walking into a place that was always under new management and always under construction. The menu was continually being changed, and yet you keep coming back. The people that we gleaned over these past 2.5, 3 years are particularly brave people to have decided to call this port their home when the port didn't even know what it was doing. Or it was closed. Yeah. Dr. West said, we can't fool ourselves into thinking we can make it from womb to tomb without making friends with people who don't agree with our own ideology. He asks students to cultivate soul and heart during their life, not just the acquisition of skills and knowledge, and reminded us all that there's no way to forge courageous critical selves without interrogating our assumptions and preconceptions. Dr. West warned that courage by itself, in isolation by itself, he said, can be dangerous in those who inflict harm. He was referring to the deadly Charlottesville, Virginia events that had just taken place at the time I heard his lecture. So Dr. West said we need to be sure to have love and compassion mixed in. And I wrote a little side note that I think we need humility and curiosity too. And then I say, isn't that why we come to church? Isn't that why we come to church? With all of that mixed in. To be brave. I'm going to cut this short. Not because I don't think what I had to say isn't worthwhile, it is, but because I think I've said the core of what was needed. Think of the ways in which you have taken a leap. You have jumped, to use a different metaphor, from one lily pad to another. You have changed your point of perspective. You have changed whether you're in sunshine or shade. You have decided in some way to literally leap to a new thing, a new job, a new venture. And maybe this is a place where you have landed as part of that. Then you have a lesson to teach others in this society. Those who would say, let's turn back the clock. Let's make our world exactly like it was in 1950, except without the high taxes. Oh, that's right. We want to make America just the way it was before, except we want to cut taxes because we really like innovation, only we don't. All right, you have found a way to go to something new. You have shown people a new way. Glennon Doyle wrote, "Over time, I've come to believe that brave does not mean what we think it does. It does not mean being afraid and doing it anyways. Nope. Brave means listening to the still small voice inside and doing what it says." That's his capitalization. Listening to the still small voice and doing what it says. And you've done that, regardless of what the rest of the world is saying. You can reflect on a time that your inner voice has led you to a path that was different from what others expected. You can reflect on how this is one of those places. Please, know that your vulnerability is a strength for us here. Know that how fragile we are as a community to speak out in a world that doesn't want to hear our perspective. How that is our strength. May we, as we go about our lives, feel that, oh, we were born in the fathoms on this great blue boat. We have found our safe harbor, our brave harbor, our space to be ourselves that others can also be. Blessings on all of you. Thank you. I invite you to rise and sing hymn number 121. May you use it as your going out benediction.